Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We hope that you are doing extremely well. Not just very well, but extremely well. Right, Monica?
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes. Right?
We're glad that you're here with us.
Yes.
That you chose to spend this next 30 minutes of your life.
Maybe 2 hours. I was just going to do this. I don't know why I did that. Maybe like
2
a little
hours?
bit.
It should
Little
be
bit.
like 2 hours.
2 hours like this.
30
or
minutes.
like 30 minutes like this. But we're going to be here for 2 hours. Oh, man.
You could be doing a lot of things right now, but you're here with us, so thank you for being here. We hope that this next 30 minutes adds something good to your life. If it just makes you smile for a second, it's worth it. If this brings...
out. Let's smile. Did you smile?
Yeah.
That's probably weird. But go ahead. Sorry. Keep going.
Did you smile? You can't tell.
Well,
because our camera has these weird things in front of our mouth.
Well, that was my fake smile, I think.
Probably.
It was a fake smile. How do you fake smile? Whatever. Keep going. Yeah. Little encouragement.
Fake smile. We hope that you're encouraged, that you have a good time, maybe that you laugh a little, laugh at us. I don't know, whatever.
You do whatever you want.
We just hope that it's good, that it adds some kind of value to your life, whatever that may be.
You'll know quite quickly we're Jesus people.
Yep.
We love Jesus. We love who he is. We love what he's done in our life. And we're going to preach that. That's our biggest message. That's the only hope for this world, hope for humanity. And so we're going to always refer back to Jesus and who he was.
Yes.
Who he was.
Today we're talking about pride.
Ooh, that's a good one for you.
I know. I don't disagree.
Hey, this one's going to get her. This is going to get her today. This is going to get her today.
Here's the good news. It's going to get you too.
But yeah. I was about ready to say, all of us, right? No. Here's the human condition. This is the biggest thing we all struggle with. Pride. Hands down.
It's the worst.
Pride. Well, and I think in this series, this new series we're starting today, we're going to hit you in the head with pride, obviously. But we titled it, You Have Nothing to Lose and Nothing to Prove. Yeah. That's such a beautiful mindset when you're looking at it from this lens of, pride, insecurities, humility, which are all things we're going to talk about. But it goes back to our ego.
Yeah.
Our egos.
There's a lot of us who think that we don't have a problem with it, but I think that we're
I don't.
Try to kind of dissect it a little bit today to figure out what it actually means, because I think there's a lot it can show up in a lot of different ways for all of us. So it's not always the same for everybody, but all of us struggle with it in one way or the other. Yeah. If you're looking at, if you just looked it up in the dictionary, the definition of it would be a feeling of deep pleasure or satisfaction derived from one's own achievements, the achievements of those with whom one is closely associated, or from qualities or possessions that are widely admired. And so this is I think the most obvious form of pride that people, it's like, oh, look what I did this and I'm proud of myself. And I think there's a healthy kind of pride, and then there's an unhealthy kind too. There's nothing wrong with being proud of your achievements, right? Look, I actually did what I said I was going to do. I set out this goal and I achieved it. I'm healthy. I met these goals in my job, or I've done whatever it is. And you can absolutely be proud of the hard work that you've done. When it gets dicey is when we have this unhealthy pride, right? That happens. And this is more it's when we do or say things for the purpose of praising our own self, right? Or for making our own self, all the things we're doing is for making our own self feel good, or for putting ourselves ahead of somebody else's self, or for doing things for the purpose of being praised, or getting the glory, right? We want the glory. We want to be praised. We want to be worshipped, right? We want to be highly talked about, right? We want everyone in the room to have this awe of us, right? To be in awe of us.
And everyone struggles with that.
Yeah. I think
that's just,
right.
Woo.
When I was younger, and even in the beginning of my biggest fear was being misunderstood. I absolutely hated it when somebody would misunderstand me and who I am. And I think that, and I was so fearful of that. I just wanted people to know my heart and to know that I was good, right? Like, oh, if somebody thinks that I'm unkind, that crushed me. If somebody thinks that I'm like purposefully trying to hurt them or being malicious or whatever, or like even like with my husband, like anytime that he thought that I was purposefully trying to do something, that killed me, and I hated it so much. I hated being misunderstood. And
that's good.
It would lead just to basically me defending myself rather than listening, right? Because I was so worried about what he thought of me or what other people think of me. I wasn't worried about actually their feelings, right? It was more like, no, you don't understand. I'm a good person. Like, you need to know how good I am, right? And that was the biggest struggle for me, and still is. But you find yourself...
For sure it still is.
Doing all of these things in life for the sole purpose of people thinking that you're good. Like, I just want everyone to think that I'm good at this or that. So I'm going to, it's like you're not doing your best because it's what you enjoy doing. You're not doing your best because like for the glory of God or any of those things. It's only because you want everyone else to think you're awesome, right? And so,
which is such a slippery slope when you think about pride. You don't look at it from that angle. You really don't. The pride that, you just think it's just this narcissistic dude, like just, it's all about me. But the subtle aspect, like even in your relationships, whether it's your marriage or just a good friend or maybe in your family, the defensiveness.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where it goes back to, hey, you got nothing to lose and you got nothing to prove. Just be you, who God created you to be. Just have this inside your soul, just this piece of who you are. And can I give you, I just want to say this right now. Have you ever been around somebody like that? Like, that's contagious. Like, I've been around people where you're just like, they're so secure in who they are, all their flaws, their weaknesses, their strengths. Like, I gravitate towards people like that because I want to be that. I think it's just so like beautiful because that is the Spirit of God, right? The Spirit of God is that. That person, he has Jesus in him. And so often my spirit's unsettled in this because I think I always got to like, I got to get better. I got to do more. I got to be this man. And this is crazy because within the last couple weeks, we've talked about this, but I've just tried to okay, Chris, just settle down. Just be still. Know that he is God. Relax. Take the time out. You don't have to people please. Right? That's my biggest struggle is I'm kind of like you where it's like, man, I just want people to be like, okay, like, he's okay. Like, yeah, good guy, whatever. Like it's one of those conditions. And there's a verse that I hold on to. It's Galatians 1:10. And it's kind of interesting because a buddy of mine, when we first started the church, we started on January 10th. And this was a couple weeks before we started the church. My buddy, I let him know, like, hey, launch date is going to be this. And he's like, that's Galatians 1:10. Do you remember you told me that was your favorite verse? And I'm like, you got a great memory because I forget that's my favorite verse. But Galatians 1:10 is this, and I have to remind myself of this. It says, and now am I trying to win the approval of human beings, aka people, or of God? Or am I trying to please people? That's my condition. That little pride issue there. If I was still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. Hit me so hard when you look at this. Am I trying to win the approval of man, some of the versions say, or of God? I've got to ask myself that on a daily basis because that's where that pride issue comes in. Because you don't think it's pride. You're just like, man, I just want people to like me. Oh, why?
Right.
You already have the stamp and the approval of God. And so as we go through this series, this verse is what we're going to go over. This is it. We're going to circle it, we're going to go around it, and we're going to branch off it. Like, these are the things we're talking about because so often we want the approval of so many different people, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
There's no freedom in that. I think that there is so much freedom in this verse when you can truly grasp this thing. And I do really feel like in comparison to when I was younger, I feel like I have probably made the most improvement in my life on this thing, because I feel like once you really know that you really have nothing to prove to anyone else other than God, there's freedom. And I know Chris and I have had this conversation before where freedom. There's just like this, you can have this quiet kind of confidence, right? Where it's not that you're just so confident, you think you're so awesome in yourself. It's just realizing that nobody else's opinion matters anymore other than the one who created you. And he knows you inside and out. So you can't prove yourself to him either, because he already knows what's going on in your heart and your mind before you do anything. So there's no proving anything to anybody. And once you get that, there is a lot of freedom in it, right? A lot of freedom in it. You don't have to work so hard to please everyone else or to prove yourself to anyone else or to prove yourself to yourself, right? Or to prove yourself to God. We've talked about this, and we think that there's probably like 3 different kinds of people or struggles, I guess, within pride. Well, I would almost even say 4. I think that there are those who struggle with these kind of issues in public, like with complete strangers, right? Like you buy a super expensive car to impress people you don't even know, that kind of thing. Like, oh, I'm going to, like I had this realization one time, a long time ago. I remember Chris and I, it was actually like the first year we were married, and we were going to go, it was New Year's Eve, and we were staying home for New Year's Eve. Yeah. And we lived with a sister at the time, and she was going to go out for New Year's Eve. And so I curled her hair for her, and, she got dressed and she looked all cute and she was going out, and I was like, oh, but we're just staying home. And I was like, I kind of wish I was doing my makeup and hair. That's kind of fun. And then I was like, well, why wouldn't I do my makeup and hair for my husband? Like, why would
That's what I'm talking about. Why wouldn't you, baby?
Why do you? So like, once you start asking yourself, like, why would I do that to go out to see a bunch of people we don't know? And not do that, like, am I getting dressed for him or am I getting dressed for all the strangers? Like, that's a weird concept, right? Because we try so much harder. Like, oh, we're going out tonight. We're getting dressed up, right? And it's like you're going out to see a bunch of people that you don't know. But for some reason, it's like, oh, let's get dressed up for him, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with looking nice. It's fun to do, but absolutely, like, why do we do the things we do? And so, and I did. I got dressed up and I put on a dress and I put on makeup and did a fun, like, and he came home from work and we had a nice dinner at home and it was awesome.
It was great.
But it's just this mindset of like, who are you trying to impress and why are you doing the things like, why are you buying that car? Why are you getting dressed up? Why are you doing whatever it is? Like,
so true.
Where you're trying, or even when we do these videos, like a lot of you guys we don't know and we've never met, and in the beginning it's easy to get caught up and think like, oh, what is everyone going to think about what we say, or are we doing the right things? And I think that you can get really caught up in that. And for us it was like you have to let go of that and understand that we're doing these videos for the glory of God, not for the glory of ourselves. That's right. And we are preaching what we know to be true in our own lives and in our own hearts. And if there's people who don't agree with that or think that it's whatever, like, that's fine, because God is He's our only audience, right? He is the only opinion that matters. He knows our hearts and he knows what he's done in our lives and he knows what we're preaching is good. And so you can get so caught up in your life in, worrying about what other people think of you or whatever that looks like, that you can really like paralyze yourself sometimes to where you don't want to do the things, right? Like, oh, I'm not going to do the videos because that's too scary.
For sure.
What are people going to think
sure.
of me, right?
Oh, for sure. And you think about the example that's been set before us, Jesus himself.
Right.
Think about what everyone was saying about him. Mm-hmm. Like we talk about, like, even us is like, whoa, poor us, poor Jesus. And he kept going. Mm-hmm. He just absolutely knew that no matter what everybody says, I got the approval from my Father. Mm-hmm. I know who I am. And I know that on this earth, my job is to serve others. Mm-hmm. And when you look at when you look at life through that lens, pride, it almost leaves, right? You got to tell pride, get on out of here. You got to tell it. You really do. And it's all in the subtle things. And we talk about this all the time. Like, you got to examine your life. You got to step back, and you actually got to be honest with who you are. Like, am I prideful? Okay. Yes, you're a human. So you are. What are those things that make me full of pride? What are the things that I need to let go? And I got to tell Satan, get up out of here. Get up out of here. J. Cole has a song. Monica loves J. Cole. Right? Yeah, he does. He says, pride is the devil. I think he has a hold of me. I think it's so crazy. And when you look at that, it's so true. In all of our lives. Pride is the devil. Like
the devil.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. I mean, it's a weird thing to say, but he nails it on the head with that.
Absolutely.
Like, nails it out of the park, because when you think about pride and what it does in your life, it causes division, right? And that's what the devil wants. That's what Satan wants. And that's where I think we all just got to look at our lives and look at something like that, something so profound. Like, wow, you kind of got to look at it from that angle. Otherwise, you're just going to avoid it. Like, where it's just like, not avoid it, you'll just keep doing it, right?
I think that we've all really seen this play out the last couple years with all the things that we dealt with politics and COVID and whatever, all of the social things. I think that pride really got a hold of all those things for all of us. It was like, that's what caused us all to dig in, right? And like you said, all the division that happened is mostly from that. We didn't want to be wrong, right? None of us wanted to be the person that was wrong. And I think that is a huge characteristic of pride, I guess, is needing to be right all the time, needing everyone to hear what you have to say. Like, it's the most important thing in all the world, right? And that's social media is definitely a big time, it gives you that platform, right? It will feed your pride big time if you let it, right? Where I can get on here, I can be the center of my own world and my own, I can say whatever I want to say, I can do whatever I want to do, everyone's gonna and I can hear what everyone else has to think about me, how many people like me or don't like me. We're all so obsessed with what everyone else thinks of us, right? To where we put it all out there online just to hear everyone else's opinions of us when they don't matter, right? They don't matter.
It's such a me thing too, and we don't want it to be, but it ends up being that. Not all the time, but it's just on that platform. That platform is a beautiful thing. Social media, beautiful thing. Right. But I think when it starts controlling you, where it seeps into your life, where it is like, how many likes do I have? Do I have all these good comments? When at the end of the day, if you could just post it just to be a blessing to somebody, just to encourage somebody, just to let others know, like, hey, this is my world. This is who I am. And try not to get so discouraged and defensive and just because that stuff's gross, right? That's where gossip is. Pride is just a weird thing, and you got to stop it, and you got to stop it today.
And it's not the same thing as being conceited or a lot of times people think of pride as in you really love yourself, and that's not necessarily the truth. You can absolutely have a lot of discontentment within yourself. Absolutely. Pride comes from, actually, a lot of the time, your insecurities. It comes from trying to prove something, whether it's to yourself or somebody else. It comes from...
So true.
You thinking you're just the center of everyone else's stuff. You can be narcissistic and not really have a good opinion of yourself at all, right? It's just this idea that you are the center of your own world, right? And you think even if you think everyone's against you, you're offended by everything everybody else has to say all the time. You're, everyone else's stuff that they say all matters to you, right? That's all part of being prideful. It can show up in so many different ways. So I think there's definitely the people who struggle with pride in public, right? And with the strangers, with all the things we just talked about. And then there's people who there's those of us who struggle within our own families, right? Whether it's you're still trying to prove something to your parents. Maybe you had super strict parents or parents that weren't there at all, or like you just wanted them to be proud of you and your accomplishments, or maybe you're prideful in the way that you parent your kids.
Guilty.
I know that's me. Like
Guilty.
And that's just me in general. I don't want to be the one that's wrong, right? I have a really hard
Dude,
time.
this is a struggle of my life.
apologizing.
This is real talk. That's like a fact. Like that's the story of our marriage. A lot of our marriage problems come from that.
And I think we both do this to our kids.
No, yeah. I mean, I say that lightly, but
it's true.
But it is. I don't think she's ever apologized in her life to me. Ever.
I don't know if you're familiar with C.S. Lewis, but he was a great Christian writer, and I really like this. Yeah, this is a quote that he wrote, and it said, "For pride is a spiritual cancer.
Oof.
It eats up the very possibility of love, or contentment, or even common sense." And this I love because it's so true, right? It's eating up the possibility of you to have true love, right? This love where you're actually giving as much as you're getting, instead of being prideful and nasty to each other or wanting to be right, or actually hearing your spouse or your kids or your family, whatever that is. So you're eating up the possibility of love, contentment, which is within your own soul and your own self, or common sense, right? And like I know that this one gets me, especially because it's like you can't think straight when you're prideful. When all you can see is like, I have to be the one that knows what I'm talking about. I don't want to look like a fool. I don't want to look silly. Like I want them to think that I know what I'm talking about. It's like you just want to prove yourself as something, right? And this, like I said, comes more from your insecurities, right? It's not because I think I'm actually right all the time. It's because I just want other people to think I am, right? I want my husband to think I'm awesome. I want, because whatever, it could stem from your past or from being a kid. I was the middle child, so like my siblings picked on me, right? So it's like I just want my husband to think I'm cool. I don't know. Like, or your kids, like you don't want them to see your weaknesses, and so you lose all the common sense, right? Where it's like, well, why can't I do this, Mom? And you're just like, because I said so. And it's like, well, where's the common sense, right? When they actually have an argument that makes sense and you're like, I don't care. You're not doing it. Go to your room. And it's like, well, can't we just have a conversation where we don't have that pride in the way, and where we can have common sense and we can have respect and we can have decency, and like common sense would tell you, like, it doesn't matter anymore. You're 38 years old, like what your dad thinks of you or whatever that is. There's so much that this spiritual cancer, like it calls it, can eat at. It can just take away the ability for all this goodness in your life. But we just let pride blind us completely.
It'll make you, pride makes you do weird things. Like I think about my life, like it makes you just like, I mean, you think about, let's just put it in the marriage context. Like if you actually think about your marriage as a team, you will always want to lift people up, right? You lower yourself. Like the example is Jesus. He lowered himself so that his Father can elevate him. And that's what we have to get to, that mindset as followers of Jesus. In marriage context, it's kind of funny because I want to be right too. Like I know she's always right, but give me a little bit. And so the defensiveness, it seeps in. When I could just step back and we could have a conversation about this. But your mind, the common sense, just like C.S. Lewis just said, like it goes out the window. Like you will do whatever to win, to get on top. And we do this in our work life. We do this with our families. We do this with ourselves. Like it's a constant battle. There's no contentment with that. You're always trying to I got the edge. I got the edge. And I think us as followers of Jesus, we are so guilty of this kind of pride. Right. Where it's like, I'm better than you, right? Oh, just listen to my prayer. Did you listen to my prayer? My prayer, oh, so elegant. You hear those words? the what do they call it? The Christianese words? Like, oh, it's just so good. And it's like
spiritual.
Like hey, nobody cares about that. That just going over the top. It's like, do you realize that's kind of like prideful? Like there's just all these like subtle things. Right. And I think if we could just step back and say like, God approves of me, and that's all that matters. And every time I have these thoughts, I got to chuck them. And I need to just be there to listen and serve people. Like I mean, that's the most beautiful thing in this world is when somebody can serve you. Have you thought about that? Like just there to serve you, just to lift you up. And it's crazy because my definition of success has changed dramatically, probably over the last couple of years. Like dramatically, because I don't know, I get in that rat race and it's like, hey, I could outdo you. Like I could probably outdo you right now in whatever it is. If I don't know how to do it, I'll figure it out, right? Once again, pride, right? It's just one of those things, right? Monica, you would say the same thing. Like that's just me. I've had to learn like my definition of success now is seeing people thrive. Yeah. How can I elevate people? And I'll tell you this, it took me years to get to that point. I always felt like I had to just prove something, which is the third category, which Monica is we're about ready to hit is the inside you. This is my battle. This is where the pride, like out of all three of these categories, this is the one that hits me. Like it's a dagger because I'm at battle. I'm at battle with myself. Like how dumb is that? Like think about that. I'm so like I'm at battle where like I think I'm always competing with myself, and it's like, dude, I'm like running a race, and it's like nobody behind me. Like, and then I gotta realize it's all inside. Like
if he gets all of his work done and there's nothing else to like, he won't just chill out and do nothing. He feels like he needs to prove to himself that he's whatever worthy of whatever it is. Like, oh, but well, I'll find something else to do. I'll go and retweet this graphic or do like whatever it is. Like he just starts making up work that doesn't need to be done, rather than like he feels like.
And it's a weird mindset because I was taught this at a young age. Coming to sports, right? They always say like, "Hey, somebody's outworking you right now, so go get out there." I mean, I would be in that. I'd be in the front yard, just do. I wouldn't leave until I made 50 free throws. I remember it. Man, I was out there for about 2-3 hours. Right? It's just this constant like battle, but then you forget. It's like, hey, bro, somebody's way more athletic than you, and he's going to get a scholarship, no matter how many free throws you shoot. Right? But then I'm trapped in my mind because there is a hustle, but I think it's a smart hustle.
Right.
Like Jesus was a hustler, but he was also smart. He was brilliant. And that's where we need to get with this because my mindset got twisted with sports, and I love sports. Go Suns. But the mentality is wrong because you'll do whatever it takes to get to the top. You'll do whatever it takes. And there is some work ethic things that it taught me really well. But when it comes to leadership is, was I the dude that was helping out all my teammates? Nope. Nope. Right. And that's where it's like the vision I have for success is totally different.
Yeah. 100%. I think that if you're one of those people that finds it really hard to sit still or to take a break in your day or to, just spend time with your family, whatever that is, I think that this could be that reason, right? Because of the pride within you says, no, you have something to prove. You still have work to do. Go make something else up. Like whatever that is. Right. You can't sit still, right? Like there's... And it's because you're trying to prove something to yourself that you deserve whatever it is. And then there's you trying to prove yourself to God. I think that's the last thing is that.
That's the fourth one. Sorry, I messed that up. I said 3 before, but that's the fourth one.
I think that we are prideful in our walk with Jesus, right? We want to prove ourselves to God. We want to tell him, I did this work. I love you this much. Look at all the things I did. I volunteered here. I did that. And I really deserve to be in your presence. I deserve to go to heaven. And that guy doesn't. Did you see what he said? Did you hear how he talks? Did you, all of those things. That's pride, right? And the Bible tells us that we are saved by grace alone, so that we cannot boast, so that we cannot be prideful. It is not on our own accord. It is not by our actions that we've been saved, but only by Jesus's.
That's right.
He's good, and you're just all right. Okay, that's basically it.
Monica nailed it. That's true. You're not that great.
You're not that great. But God is good. He is great, and He is the reason we've been saved. And His opinion is the only one that matters of us. And we have to learn to let go of everyone else's because that's freedom in Christ.
You got to kick pride out the door.
Also, our camera's getting hot.
You got to kick the pride out the door.
So we're going to pray for you.
Have a great week. Have a great week. We're going to pray for you guys. Just remember, kick pride on out of here. You got nothing to lose. You got nothing to prove. We're going to pray for you. God, we thank you for your grace. We thank you for your mercy. We thank you for who you are. Lord, allow pride to get out of our life. Lord, give us the resources to be able to achieve this. Thank you for your word. Thank you for your goodness. We thank you so much for this day. We say this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Yes, camera's still rolling. Boom. Hey, join us next week for episode 2 of our new series called You Got Nothing to Lose. You Got Nothing to Prove. We love you. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.